What happens when an atheist professor dies, encounters terrifying shadowy beings, and is saved by radiant entities who reveal secrets about karma, love, and humanity's future? Howard Storm's near-death experience shattered his disbelief, unveiling universal truths that connect Buddhist teachings and the afterlife. Is the afterlife shaped by culture, or is love the ultimate law? Prepare to question everything. Watch to uncover the shocking revelations that could redefine your understanding of life, death, and purpose. Comment and subscribe now.
Wow. When you sent over Howard Storm's story, I was floored. I mean, a near-death experience, visions of the future, and he was a committed atheist before all of this happened.
Right.
Talk about a way to shake up your worldview.
You know what intrigues me most about this is how his experience, even though it comes from a totally secular background, seems to resonate with Buddhist teachings.
Yeah.
It raises a fascinating question.
It does.
About whether certain spiritual truths are,
universal.
Universal, yeah.
Okay, so let's set the stage here.
Sure.
We're talking about Howard Storm.
Yes.
A tenured art professor who, prior to this event,
Yeah.
was very much opposed to any form of religious belief.
Right.
This wasn't just someone who hadn't given spirituality much thought.
No.
He actively rejected it, and that's what makes his transformation so remarkable.
Absolutely. I think that's a really important point to emphasize.
Yeah.
We're not talking about someone who is simply agnostic or indifferent to religion.
Right.
Howard was firmly in the atheist camp.
Yeah.
And his skepticism actually makes the events that unfolded even more compelling.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost as if his initial resistance to the spiritual made the shift more dramatic and more profound.
It's like the universe was like, okay, you really don't believe?
Right.
Let's give you an experience that you absolutely can't ignore.
Exactly.
Like you can't deny this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened in 1985.
Yeah.
Howard was in Paris when he suffered a perforated duodenum.
Oh, wow.
Life-threatening medical emergency
Right.
that led to a near-death experience.
Okay, so this is where things take a really dark turn.
Yeah.
He describes this terrifying descent into what felt like a bottomless abyss,
Right.
filled with these shadowy figures that pretended to offer him help, but their tone was deceptive.
Right.
And they quickly turned menacing.
Oh, it's a chilling image.
Yeah.
And, it calls to mind the Preda realm in Buddhist cosmology. The Predas, often translated as hungry ghosts,
Right.
are beings driven by insatiable craving and negativity. They exist in a state of perpetual suffering,
Right.
unable to fulfill their desires.
Yeah.
Now, whether Howard literally entered this realm or whether it's a symbolic representation of a psychological state
Right.
is up for interpretation.
Sure.
But
This isn't just some abstract concept, though.
oh,
We're talking about a really unsettling
yeah,
experience
yeah,
that very clearly left a lasting impact on Howard.
absolutely.
To be surrounded by these hostile figures, these hungry ghosts,
Yeah.
it's like a nightmare brought to life.
Absolutely. And it's especially significant, when we consider it within the context of Howard's atheism.
Yeah.
The pre-desire realm, while part of Buddhist cosmology,
Right.
can also be interpreted as a metaphor for the human condition.
Yeah.
These hungry ghosts represent those aspects of ourselves that are driven by craving,
Yeah.
by insatiable desires that can never be truly satisfied.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it speaks to a universal experience of suffering,
Right.
something that even a staunch atheist could relate to.
Yeah, that's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
It's not just about some far-off
Yeah.
spiritual realm. It's about the very human experience of wanting,
Yeah.
of striving, and of feeling that sense of emptiness when those desires aren't fulfilled.
Exactly. And perhaps that's why this image resonated so deeply with Howard.
Okay.
His atheism,
Yeah.
his rejection of the spiritual,
Right.
may have been a way of avoiding these uncomfortable truths
Yeah.
about the human condition.
So he's trapped in this terrifying situation,
Yes.
surrounded by these menacing figures,
Right.
these representations of unfulfilled desires.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So at the height of his despair,
Okay.
Howard hears a voice urging him to pray.
Okay.
Now remember, he's an atheist.
Right.
So the idea of prayer is completely foreign to him.
Totally.
But out of sheer desperation, he cries out for help.
Wow.
And that's when everything shifts dramatically.
This is the turning point, isn't it?
Yes,
This is when the beings of light appear.
precisely.
Right.
These radiant beings emanating love and compassion descend into the darkness
Wow.
and lift him out of that abyss of suffering. You know, it's like a sudden burst of light piercing through the gloom.
Yeah.
And this shift from darkness to light, from terror to peace, is a recurring theme in near-death experiences. But what makes Howard's experience so unique is the stark contrast between his initial skepticism and the profound spiritual encounter that unfolded.
That's such a powerful image.
Right.
The darkness representing his fear and despair.
Yeah.
And the light representing this newfound hope and connection to something beyond himself.
And it raises so many questions.
It does.
You know, were these beings angelic figures as Howard perceived them?
Right.
Or could they be understood in a different way, perhaps through a Buddhist lens?
Yeah.
Could they be a symbolic representation of a shift in consciousness?
Yeah.
A turning away from the darkness and towards the light?
So we have this incredibly powerful image of rescue, of transformation.
Yeah.
This moment of profound change.
Right.
A complete reversal of his previous state.
Yes.
But the journey doesn't end there, does it?
No, it doesn't.
He goes on to experience a life review.
Yes. And this is where we see a clear connection to the Buddhist principle of karma.
Let's pause there for a moment. We'll delve into that life review and its implications in our next segment.
Sounds good. So we left off with Howard being rescued from that terrifying abyss by these beings of light.
Right.
And then he undergoes this vivid life review.
Yeah. This part of his story really got to me, you know.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing your entire life replayed before you. Like every action, every word, every thought.
It's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
And one that aligns perfectly with the Buddhist principle of karma.
Okay.
In Buddhism, karma isn't about punishment or reward.
Oh.
It's about cause and effect.
Yeah.
Every action,
Right.
whether mental, verbal, or physical, creates a ripple effect that shapes our future experiences.
So it's not about some cosmic scorecard,
Right.
you know, where good deeds get you points and bad deeds get you demerit.
Exactly. It's a much more nuanced understanding of how our choices shape our reality.
Yeah.
And Howard's life review seems to be a direct experience of this principle.
Okay.
He sees the impact of his actions, both positive and negative,
Right.
and how those actions affected not only himself, but also the people around him.
It wasn't just about witnessing these events passively, though, right?
Right.
He actually felt the emotional weight of those actions as if he were reliving them
Yes.
from the perspective of others.
That's a crucial detail.
Yeah.
He wasn't just observing.
Right.
He was experiencing the consequences of his actions,
Right.
feeling the joy he brought to others and the pain he inflicted.
Wow.
And this connects to the Buddhist concept of vipaka, the
Right.
ripening of karma. It's
Yeah.
the understanding that our actions have consequences that we eventually experience, not as punishment, but as a natural unfolding of cause and effect.
This adds a whole other layer to the concept of empathy, doesn't it?
It does.
You know, it's not just about understanding someone else's feelings intellectually.
Right.
It's about actually feeling those emotions as if they were your own.
It's a profound level of empathy.
Wow.
And it seems to be central to Howard's transformation.
Yeah.
The life review wasn't about judgment.
Right.
It was about understanding the interconnectedness of all things.
Right.
You know how our actions ripple outward
Yeah.
and impact the lives of others.
This ties into the Buddhist principle of dependent origination, doesn't it?
Yes.
The idea that everything is interconnected.
Yes.
That nothing exists in isolation.
Pratityasamutpada.
I was going to say that.
A mouthful. I know.
Yeah.
But a core concept in Buddhism,
Right.
it emphasizes the interdependence of all phenomena.
Yeah.
How every action, every thought arises from this complex web
Right.
of causes and conditions. And Howard's life review seems to be a direct experience of this interconnectedness.
Yeah, it's like seeing the butterfly effect in action.
Right.
How even the smallest action can have these far-reaching consequences.
It makes you wonder.
It does.
You know, if we all had the opportunity to experience a life review like Howard's,
Yeah.
to truly feel the impact of our actions on others, would we live differently?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
You know, would we be more mindful of our choices, more compassionate in our interactions, knowing that everything we do has a ripple effect?
It's a reminder to live with intention,
Yeah.
to cultivate awareness
Right.
of how our actions impact the world around us.
And this brings us to another key insight from Howard's experience.
Yes.
This emphasis on love as the essence of life.
Yeah.
What's the Buddhist perspective on this?
This aligns beautifully with the concept of metta in Buddhism,
Okay.
often translated as loving kindness.
Yeah.
It's not just a sentimental feeling, it's
No.
an active practice. A deliberate cultivation of kindness, compassion and goodwill towards all beings.
So it's not just about feeling love for those close to us,
Right.
but extending that love outwards,
Exactly.
even to those we might consider our enemies.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of all beings,
Yeah.
regardless of their actions or beliefs.
That's a radical notion,
It is.
especially in a world that so often encourages division and judgment.
Absolutely.
It's challenging, but also incredibly inspiring.
It is.
To live from a place of love, of understanding, of interconnectedness, that's a powerful vision.
And it's a vision that aligns with the Buddhist path to liberation.
Okay.
The Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
This path offers a framework
Right.
for cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline as a means to end suffering.
We talked about this briefly earlier,
Yes.
but given its importance, it's worth diving a little deeper.
Sure.
What are the specific steps of this path?
So the Eightfold Path encompasses right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a comprehensive approach
It is.
to living a life
Yeah.
that is aligned with wisdom and compassion.
It sounds like a complete life overhaul.
It can be.
But, looking at Howard's transformation,
Yeah.
were there any specific steps?
I think right understanding was key.
Okay.
Initially, Howard's understanding of reality was limited by his materialist worldview.
Right.
His rejection of anything beyond the physical realm.
Yeah.
And his near-death experience shattered that limited view.
Yeah.
And forced him to confront the possibility of a spiritual dimension.
Yeah.
And this shift in understanding
Yeah.
paved the way for him to embrace concepts like karma and rebirth.
Wow.
Ideas that were previously inconceivable to him.
So a fundamental change in his understanding of reality
Yes.
opened him up to these new possibilities.
Absolutely. And then there's right intention. This is about setting our intentions, our motivations in alignment with wisdom and compassion.
Okay.
And after his NDE,
Right.
Howard's intention shifted dramatically.
Yeah.
He no longer sought to prove his atheism.
Right.
Instead, he was driven by a desire to understand his experience,
Okay.
to integrate it into his life,
Right.
and ultimately to help others.
So these two steps, right understanding and right intention,
Yes.
seem to have laid the groundwork for his transformation.
Precisely. And while we haven't discussed all 8 steps,
Right.
I think you can see how the principles of the Eightfold Path
Yeah.
resonate with Howard's journey.
Yeah.
His experience, though not explicitly Buddhist,
Right.
highlights the universality of these teachings,
Yeah.
their potential to transform lives regardless of one's background or beliefs.
It's a reminder that spiritual truths are not confined to any one religion or philosophy.
Right.
They're available to anyone who is open to exploring them,
Absolutely.
to questioning their assumptions,
Yeah.
and to embracing new ways of seeing the world.
And it brings us back to that idea that we discussed earlier. The
Right.
Buddhist concept of upaya, or skillful, means
Right.
there are many paths to the same destination. And the right path for each individual is the one that resonates with their heart and mind,
Right.
the one that helps them move towards greater understanding and compassion.
So it's not about finding the right religion
Right.
or following a rigid set of rules,
Exactly.
but about finding what works for you.
Yes.
What helps you connect with your own inner wisdom
Right.
and live a more meaningful life.
Exactly. It's about embracing the journey,
Yeah.
the process of growth and evolution,
Yeah.
and recognizing that there's always more to learn,
Right.
more to experience, more to understand.
That's such a beautiful message.
It is.
One that I think we can all take to heart,
Yeah,
regardless of our spiritual beliefs or background.
absolutely.
It's about cultivating an open mind, a willingness to question our assumptions, and a deep respect for the interconnectedness of all things.
And it's a message that resonates throughout Howard's story.
It does.
His journey from staunch atheist to someone deeply connected to spiritual truths
Yeah.
highlights the transformative power of experience,
Right.
the potential for profound change that exists within each of us.
And it's a change that doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It's a process, a journey of unfolding.
Yeah.
Just like the Buddhist concept of pavana,
Yes.
the gradual cultivation of wisdom and compassion through practice and mindful awareness.
That's an important point.
It is.
Transformation is not a destination.
Right.
It's a journey.
Yeah, it's about showing up each day,
Right.
making conscious choices,
Yeah.
and being open to the lessons that life presents.
This conversation has been so insightful.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the terrifying darkness of the Preto realm
Right.
to the radiant light of the beings of love.
Yes.
We've explored concepts like karma vipaka and metta.
And delved into the principles of the Eightfold Path.
Yeah.
What other insights can we glean from Howard's story as we continue to explore its connections to Buddhist teachings?
Well, one of the things that fascinates me is how his experience, particularly his choice to return to Earth, aligns with the bodhisattva ideal in Buddhism. We'll explore that next.
You know, we've been unpacking Howard Storm's incredible journey and its fascinating parallels to Buddhist teachings.
Right.
It's amazing to see how his experience, though rooted in a totally different context, really resonates with these ancient principles.
It really highlights the idea that certain spiritual truths transcend cultural and religious boundaries. You know, there's something universal about Howard's experience that speaks to the human condition regardless of one's belief system.
And one of the most compelling aspects of his story is his choice to return to Earth.
Yes.
You know, after experiencing the peace and bliss of the afterlife.
Right.
He willingly chose to come back to this world of suffering and impermanence.
Yeah. Why? This is where we see a profound connection to the bodhisattva ideal in Mahayana Buddhism. A bodhisattva is a being who has achieved a high level of spiritual realization, but out of immense compassion chooses to postpone their own final liberation in order to help others achieve enlightenment. They dedicate their lives to alleviating suffering and guiding others towards awakening.
So instead of remaining in that blissful realm, Howard felt compelled to return to this world.
Yes.
To share his experience and to help others find their way.
Exactly. He felt this deep sense of responsibility, a mission. To help humanity awaken to its true potential for love, compassion, and interconnectedness. And this selfless act of choosing to serve others rather than seeking personal liberation is a hallmark of the bodhisattva path.
It's a remarkable act of selflessness.
It is.
Especially considering the suffering he witnessed in his visions of the future. You know, he knew what humanity was capable of, the darkness that lay ahead. Yet he still chose to return to try to make a difference.
It speaks to the power of love and compassion to overcome fear and despair. You know, Howard saw the potential for humanity to change course, to choose a path of healing and awakening. And he dedicated his life to helping make that vision a reality.
It's incredibly inspiring.
It is.
You know, it suggests that even amidst the challenges and suffering of this world, there's always hope. Always the possibility of transformation. Both individually and collectively.
Absolutely. And that transformation, that shift towards a more awakened way of being, often begins with confronting our own suffering. Our own dukkha, as it's known in Buddhism.
We touched on this earlier, but it's worth revisiting. Dukkha, or suffering, is a core concept in Buddhist teachings.
It is.
And it's not meant to be pessimistic, but rather a realistic acknowledgement that suffering is an inherent part of the human experience.
Exactly. We experience physical pain, emotional distress, loss, disappointment. The list goes on. Buddhism doesn't shy away from this reality. In fact, it's the starting point for the path to liberation.
So how does Howard's experience relate to this concept of dukkha?
Well,
you know, he certainly went through some intense suffering during his NDE, especially in that terrifying abyss with the hostile beings.
And that experience can be seen as a symbolic representation of the various forms dukkha can take. Terror, the isolation, the sense of being trapped. Those are all aspects of suffering. But even more importantly, his NDE seems to have awakened him to the reality of suffering on a deeper level. Not just his own personal suffering, but the suffering inherent in the human condition.
So his near-death experience, while incredibly painful, ultimately served as a catalyst for his awakening to the truth of suffering.
It seems that way.
Wow.
And this realization is crucial because in Buddhism, the path to liberation begins with acknowledging and understanding the nature of suffering.
So it's not about denying or avoiding suffering, but about facing it head on. With courage and compassion.
Precisely. And Howard's story embodies this beautifully.
It does.
He didn't shy away from the darkness he experienced, both in his NDE and in the visions of humanity's future. Instead, he confronted it with an open heart and determination to be a force for positive change.
His willingness to face suffering
Yeah.
both his own and the suffering of the world,
Right.
seems to be what ultimately led him to a path of greater understanding and compassion.
And it highlights the importance of embracing the totality of human experience,
Okay.
both the light and the darkness.
Yeah.
It's not about seeking a life free from all suffering,
Right.
but about learning to navigate the inevitable challenges with wisdom, resilience, and an open heart.
This has been such an enlightening conversation.
It has.
As we wrap up, what would you say are the key takeaways our listeners should consider?
I think the most important message is that transformation is possible.
It is.
Howard's story, despite starting from a place of atheism,
Yeah,
is a testament to the human potential for growth, change, and awakening.
absolutely.
It's a reminder that we're not fixed in our beliefs or our identities.
Right.
That we're capable of profound shifts in perspective and understanding.
It's a message of hope and possibility.
It is.
A reminder that even in the face of suffering and uncertainty, we can choose a path of love, compassion, and interconnectedness.
Absolutely.
And while Howard's experience was dramatic and extraordinary,
Yes.
his journey also highlights the universality of these truths.
Right.
They're not confined to any one religion or philosophy.
Yeah.
They're accessible to anyone who is open to exploring them.
And that exploration, that journey of self-discovery is a lifelong process.
It is.
It's about being curious, asking questions,
Right.
and being willing to challenge our assumptions. It's about cultivating awareness, practicing compassion,
Yeah.
and finding ways to contribute to a more just and compassionate world.
Well, thank you for taking us on this journey
It's been my pleasure.
through Howard Storm's extraordinary experience.
Yes.
It's been a fascinating exploration of the intersections between a near-death experience and Buddhist teachings.
It has.
An exploration that has hopefully sparked new insights
Yes.
and a deeper understanding of our own potential for transformation.
Absolutely.
So for everyone listening, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep growing.
Howard Storm's journey reveals a profound truth. Love transcends religion, culture, and even death. His near-death experience connects Buddhist karma, the Christian message of grace, and the universal law of interconnectedness. Are we living in alignment with love and compassion, or are we trapped by fear and division? Reflect deeply and share your thoughts in the comments. If Howard's story has touched you, subscribe, like, and share this video to spread the transformative power of love and unity. Howard's warning about humanity's future strikes a chord. Greed and hatred are not just individual failings, they are the seeds of collective suffering. Yet his story offers hope. Like the Buddhist teachings on mindfulness and karma, Howard's experience shows that transformation begins with a single choice. Are you contributing to unity or division? Let's start a conversation below. Subscribe to this channel, and join us in exploring stories that inspire action and awaken our shared humanity. The beings of light taught Howard that even the smallest act of kindness ripples through the universe. This mirrors the Buddhist principle of pratityasamutpada. Everything is interconnected. What small action can you take today to create a ripple of compassion? Share your ideas in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video to join a community dedicated to spreading love, wisdom, and transformation. Together we can create a brighter, more compassionate world. Howard's story invites us to reimagine the afterlife. Is death a judgment, a transition, or the beginning of a karmic reckoning? His life review mirrors Vipassana, the Buddhist practice of self-awareness, teaching that every thought, word, and deed carries weight. What would your life reveal if replayed before you? Reflect and share below. Subscribe for more stories that challenge your beliefs. And like this video if Howard's journey has inspired your own spiritual exploration. The Being's Statement. The correct religion is the one that brings you closer to God, unites spiritual paths under one truth. Love is the way. Could this message end centuries of religious conflict? Buddhism teaches that all paths, when practiced with sincerity, lead to enlightenment. Howard's story asks us to transcend dogma and focus on compassion. What's your perspective? Comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to spark deeper conversations about universal spirituality. Howard's transformation from atheist to spiritual teacher reflects the Buddhist concept of impermanence. Nothing is fixed, growth is always possible. His decision to return to life mirrors the Bodhisattva's vow to serve others. Are you ready to embrace your own potential for change? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more inspiring content. Like and share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to awaken to love and purpose. Howard's warning reminds us of our collective responsibility. The beings of light revealed that humanity's future is not fixed, it's shaped by our actions. Will we choose compassion and wisdom, or continue down a path of division and suffering? Share how you're making a difference in the comments. Subscribe and join our community of seekers exploring stories that inspire action. Like this video to support the message of love, unity, and spiritual awakening for a better world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Howard Storm's near-death experience. His story reminds us that we are all connected and that love is the greatest truth. Let's honor this by living with mindfulness and compassion. Subscribe to this channel for more transformative stories and share this video to inspire others. Comment below with your reflections. What does Howard's journey mean to you? Together we can create a ripple effect of love and wisdom that changes lives.